Hi everyone, especially to you Coach Jude. Before I get started, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Geraldine S. Gamal from BTLED HE1A and I am the little teacher from Study Hub #7. So there are 5 topics that we were going to tackle. The first one is why study about children and adolescents and the story of Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker. The second one is the historical views of childhoods. The third one is development processes and periods. The fourth one is periods of development. And the fifth, but not the least, is the development issues. So, let me introduce you my topic that is all about why we need to study the children and adolescents and the story of Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker. So, let's move to what is the children and adolescents. Children and adolescents are services that support young people experiencing poor health or difficult feelings and experiences. We study about children and adolescents for us to learn the both typical and atypical development so as to meet the needs of all types of children and family situation. Therefore, you'll be able to encourage children who are developing comfortably, aids who are struggling, and help find the best environment for each child. Today, you will learn about the story of Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Leonard Dahmer, also known as Milwaukee Cannibal or Milwaukee Monster, was an American serial killer who was sentenced to life in prison where he was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994. His case shocked the world due to the gruesome nature of his acts.
Jeffrey Dahmer had a troubled childhood. His parents constantly bickered before they divorced. His mother has emotional problems and doted on his younger brother, and he felt that his father neglected him. When he was right years old, Jeffrey was sexually abused by an old boy. But most individuals who suffer through such childhood pains never go on to commit Jeffrey's grisly crimes.
So let's move on to Alice Walker. Alice Walker is an American novelist, poet, and activist, or best known for her novel The Color Purple 1982, which won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction and the National Book Award. Her works often focus on themes of race, gender, and social injustice, particularly exploring the experiences of American African women. Walker is also a prominent voice in civil rights activism and feminism, who highlights the distinct experiences and the struggles of Black women.
Alice Walker was born in 1944 in Eatonton, Georgia, grew up in poverty and faced racial discrimination. An accident in her childhood left her blind in one eye, deepening her introspection and love for writing. As teenager, she excelled academically and received a scholarship to Spelman College, where she became active in the civil rights movement. These early experiences shaped her later work as a writer and activist.
So that's it. Thank you for listening me and thank you Coach Jude for watching this video. Once again, I am Ginaldine S. Gamal from Bitolet HE1A, the little teacher of Study Hub #7.
So now we can proceed to the next topic. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Janelle. So now I will going to tackle the historical views of the childhood. First of all, I will introduce myself first. Good day, Coach Jude. Good day, everyone, classmates especially. So today, I will going to tackle my topic, historical views of childhood. So what is the history of childhood all about? A very short introductions describes the differing experiences of childhood across across time and place, focusing on conflict, so war, war, reform, and the issues and conditions that have shaped childhood throughout history. So, through childhood, philosophers have speculated at length about the nature and children's and how they should be reared. Some influential philosophers' views portray children in terms of original sins, tabula rasa, and innate goodness. So what is the original sins all about? It explains us such things as genocide, war, cruelty, exploitation, and abuse. And how about the tabula rasa? Tabula rasa, it comes from philosophy. Tabula rasa, the theory that birth, the human mind, is a blank slate without rules or processing. So what is innate goodness? It's a it's a perspective of a human human um, human nature that suggests what humans are inherently good, than that doing good comes more naturally than doing an evil or an bad decisions. And now we will proceed to the next topic. So, the currently concern about today's children. So, this is the current concern about today's children's. The topic and the news that we read and hear every day, whether in the newspaper, magazine, and on the internet, and also to television, are mostly centered about children's welfare, what many child developments researchers and discovered in each of these area, and 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 has direct and significant consequences for understanding children's and improving their lives. So here's the common concern about today's children. So first, we have here the poverty, starvation, loss of livelihood, poor quality healthcare, inadequate nutrition, alcohol and drug abuse, violence against women and children, and lastly, the mental health. What is poverty? Poverty is a familiar to us, to all of us rather. So, poverty is a lack of condition in which an individual lacks the financial resources and essential for a certain standard of living. Um, poverty can have diverse environmental, legal, social, economic, and political causes and effects. So now, what is starvation? Starvation? For me, starvation is the hungriness, lack of food also. Um, Starvation is a severe deficiency in caloric energy intake below the level of needed to maintain an organism's lives. So, we will proceed to the loss of livelihood. Loss of livelihood, when certain risks manifest, they almost always affect livelihoods and reduce people's ability to support themselves in the future. And then we have a poor quality healthcare. Services are holding back progress in improving health conditions, on improving health in countries at all. Income levels according to a new joint report. So now we will proceed to the next. So now we will proceed the alcohol and drug abuse. What that will cause to us? to us as a teenager or a child. So, alcohol and drug abuse, use and abuse of drugs and alcohol by teens is very common and can have serious consequences in the year of 15 to 24 years of age. 15 to 24 years age range has a 50% of death from accidents. So, it is a common nowadays to us that we will heard about the news that there is an accident that the driver is the driver is drunk. So now we will proceed to the violence against women and child. What it is all about? It refers to any act of a series of acts committed by any person against women who is who who is his wife or former wife or against women with whom in the person has or had a sexual person has or had a sexual or dating relationship or with whom has a common child or against her child. So to us, it is important to us to know that we have a right about the violence of women, so that we can so that we can mm, so that we can what's it you called so that we can protect ourselves and to our to and also to the children's. It is important for me. It is important to know, or all of us to know, that what is the violence all about and what is the violence against women and children's all about. It is also to us. It is also how we can manage this problem, or how can we prove ourselves, or so that's all. And we will proceed, and lastly is the mental health. For me, mental health is common to us. It's the common problem to all of us. Mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life and realize their abilities to learn well. Now, we will proceed to the being. Health and well-being is a mental health is an integral and essential component of health. The WHO Institute state health of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the presence of disease or infirmity. An important implication of the definition is that mental health is more than just the absence or mental disorders or disabilities. So, what is mental health all about, or what is the mental health can cause? What is the mental health impact to us? Mental health is a fundamental to our as humans to think, emote, interact with each other, earn a living, and enjoy life on the basis, the promotion, protection, and restoration of mental health and vital concern or vital concern of individuals, communities, and societies throughout of the world. And okay, so that we will proceed to education. Education is a discipline that is concerned what methods of techniques and learning in school or school life environments opposed to various non-formal and informal means or of socialization. So for me, education, they had an education and skills to become lifelong learners to secure productive work to productive work to make improved decisions and to positively engage in their communities. So, by studying children, we can also understand environmental factors that influence how a child grows physically, conditionally, and psychological. Like for examples, the parental attitudes to education can have an influence on the child's educational performances. The last but not the least is the social-cultural context, such culture, gender, and gender development. So, what is social-cultural context? So that social-cultural context is prepares to the cultural and the social environmentals or environments that influences an individual's perceptions and experiences, including traditions, values, and religious beliefs related to specific life events like pregnancy, child and childbirth. So, for me, however, socio-cultural factors are critical, determinate leading to gender differences in roles and behaviors that may be modest but culturally important. Culture has profound rejects on genders related behaviors, values, identity, roles, and how these are regarded in various social contexts. So that's all for my assigned topic. So now we can proceed. To the next topic. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmate. Before I start, I will introduce first myself. My name is Jessica Tiboseso from BTLED HE1A. So, my assigned topic is all about development process. What's the meaning behind of this? So now, I'm here in your front to discuss to you about my topic. So now, let's proceed. A. Biological, cognitive, and social emotional processes. Each of us develop in certain ways like other individuals, yet most of the time our focus is directed to one individual's uniqueness. However, Samtrack 2002, who is an expert on in lifespan development, suggests there are three following idea about human development. First is A. Development is lifelong, means it does not in adulthood. Second one is B. Development is the plasticity. It refers to the potential for change. There are no such as
I am too old for that, so even if aging is associated with declines in certain intellectual abilities, these declines can be. Third is development is multidimensional. Developing consists of biological, cognitive, and social emotional dimensions. Means the development process is the emerging human development as a ground construction proper. The processes are the different teams of workers, each specializing in a particular aspect of building the final structure. These processes are the mechanisms that drive change and growth throughout life. So that's all about the development processes. So let's proceed to biological processes. So now let's proceed to biological processes. What is the meaning of biological processes? Biological processes are those processes that are necessary for an organism to live and thus shape its capacities for interacting with its environment. Biological processes are made of many chemical reactions or other events that are involved in the persistence and transformation of life forms. Means this theme focuses on the physical building blocks or the human body. They work on growth, maturation rather, and physical changes like puberty or the aging process. Think of them as the construction, cross-laying the foundations, building the walls, and making sure the wall structure is sound. Like for example of biological process, include the first is metabolism, second homeostasis, third growth, lastly is reproduction. So, means the biological processes are the fundamental activities that occur within living organisms, enabling them to survive, grow, and interact with their environment. These processes are essential for maintaining life and encompass a wide range of activities, and their study and fundamental to understanding the diversity. So that's all about the biological processes. So now let's proceed to cognitive processes. Next is cognitive process. Do you have idea what is the cognitive process? So now I will discuss to you about the cognitive process. This theme is all about the mind's development. They work on thinking. Picture them as the articles and architects, rather, and engineers designing the brain, creating its internal system and ensuring it can process information efficiently. Cognitive process, you can see there, cognitive process refers to the mental activities involved in perceptions, attentions, memory problem solving, decisions making, language, and thinking in general. It encompasses attention, memory, sequencing, problem solving, and executive functioning. It, it is based on perceptual information and can also affect perception processes. So, here the example of cognitive processes. First is perceptions, attentions, memory, language, thinking, lastly is learning. There are the example of cognitive process. Cognitive processes are the mental operations the brain informs to process informations. Through these operations, the brain interacts with the information around its thoughts and analyzes in it in order to make the relevant decisions. So that that's the meaning about cognitive processes. So now let's proceed to socio-economic processes. Social emotional processes. Social emotional processes involve changes in an individual's relationships with other people, changes in emotional changes and personalities. So, socio-emotional processes, this team handles the social and emotional aspect of development. They work on building self-awareness, emotional regulations, relationship, and social skills. Think of them as the interior designers and community builders, creating the spaces for people to interact, connect, and thrive in society. So, for example, a girl's develop as assertiveness involves social emotional process. Means social emotional development means how children start to understanding who they are, what they are feeling, and what to expect when interacting with others. It is the development of being able to form and sustain positive relationships, experience, manage and express emotions, explore and engage with the environment. So, the next one is development is relatively orderly during infancy. Next is development is relatively rather orderly during infancy. Means development occurs in a relatively orderly sequence with with later abilities, skills, and knowledge building on those already acquired. There is a pattern to development that can be discerned and that has adaptational value for the species. Development is relatively orderly during infancy. The greatest growth is always occurring at the top, the head, and with physical growth in size and weight. The future differentiations gradual work on its way down from the bottom. So now, next is development takes place gradually. Development takes place gradually. It takes years to mature, and that's the way of natures. While some developments occurs in the flash of insights, more often it takes weeks, months, years for a person to undergo changes that result to a display of characteristics. Means when a child is acquiring a new cognitive strategy, such as the ability to sort by size. The child will likely be able to accurately write on some occasions but not others. Similarly, the child may an accurate job of sorting up to 4 straws for far, varying lengths, but fail when the fifth is introduced. However, over time, the ability solidifies and be observed in all situations. For example, a child learns to crawl and then to stand and then to walk. They are already gradually learning how to walk. It's just like hiking up the mountain path, a slow, steady ascent that leads to the top. So next, let's proceed to development is contextual environment. Development is contextual in individuals respond to an act on context. This context include the individual's biological makeup, physical environment, cognitive process, historical, and crucial context. So for example, some cultures place a greater emphasis on the development of social skills, while others prioritize academic achievement. Contextual perspective consider the relationship between individuals and their physical, cognitive, and social worlds. They also examine sociocultural and environmental influences on development. So now, this is the last part of development process, which is the development involves growth. In the context of childhood, development growth is defined as an irreversible, constant increase in size, and development is defined as growth in psychomotor capacity. Both processes are highly dependent on genetic, nutritional, and environment factors. Means development involves growth, maintenance is and regulations growth, maintenance and are three goals of human development. The goals of vary among developmental stages. So for example, a child physical growth, adding inches to their height year by year. So those for many individuals, the goal is not to seek growth in intellectual capacities, such as memory, or physical capacities, such as physical strength, but to maintain those skills or minimize their deteriorations. Lastly, let's proceed to period of development. Period of development means develop is commonly described in terms of periods, and the most classification of developmental periods involves the following sequence, which is the prenatal periods. The time from conception of birth, 9 months, infancy is the developmental period that extends from birth to about 24 months. It is a time of extreme dependence on adults. Many psychological activities are just starting, such as language, symbolic thoughts, sensorimotor coordination, and social learning. Conception occurs in development begins all of the major structures of the body are forming, and the health of the mother is of primary concern. Next one is childhood. Childhood is early, middle, and late. Early childhood is between 5 to 6 years. During this time, children learn to become more self-sufficient and care for themselves. They develop school readiness skills. Middle and late childhood is about 6 to 12 years, 3 years old, and it's referred to as the elementary years. Children at this age master the fundamental skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and they are also formally exposed. Childhood is the period between birth and puberty. Childhood ends when a human being begins puberty. That is the period development process. That's all about my topic. Again, good morning, Coach Jude and classmate. The development processes I already discussed about the biology process, cognitive process, socio-emotional process. Development is relatively orderly during infancy. Next is development takes place gradually. Next is development is contextual individuals. Lastly is development involves growth. That is the part of development process. Next is period process. There are two following sequence, which is the prenatal and childhood. So again, my topic is about the development process and period process. Thank you for listening, and God bless everyone, especially to you, Coach Jude. Again, my name is Jessica Tiboseso from Bituled HE1.
Good day everyone, especially to you Coach Jude. I am Princess Aling Inlakay from Bituled HE, and I am excited to share insight of the periods of development with you today. Before we dive into the topic, I'd like to introduce myself. I believe that understanding how we grow and evolve through different stages is essential to grasping human development as a whole. Today, we'll explore these key stages together, and I look forward to an engaging and insightful discussion with you, all of you. So, I'm going to discuss is all about period of development. Development is a commonly described in terms of periods, and the most classification of developmental periods involves the following sequences. They are prenatal period, infancy, childhood, adolescence, and the adulthood. Development. It refers to show that how people to grow and to interact, but it's not just about getting bigger or older. It includes the changes in how they think, how they feel, and how they to interact in this world. So these are the list of periods development we have here: prenatal period and infancy, childhood, adolescence, and the lastly is adulthood. I start to prenatal period. Prenatal period is the time from conception to birth, 9 months. So, from this statement, the prenatal period is referred to the time from when a baby is conceived until birth, typically lasting around 9 months. It's critical phase in human development where the baby grows and develops inside the mother's womb. During this period, the baby's organs, tissues, and system gradually form, and the health of both the mother and the baby is closely monitored to ensure proper development leading up to this birth. So, next is infancy. So we move on. Infancy. Infancy is the developmental period that extends from birth to about 24 months, which is 2 years old. It is a time of extreme dependence on adults. Many physiological activities are just starting, such as language, symbolic thought, sensory motor, coordination, and social learning. Based on my understanding, in infancy is a vital stage that spans from birth to about 24 months, which is 2 years old. During this time, babies depend on adults for everything they need and start to grow in many ways. They begin to learn how to speak, think symbolically, and interact with others. This early period is crucial as it lays the groundwork for their future learning and relationships. So we move in childhood. Childhood, early, middle, and late. Early childhood is between 5 to 6 years. During this time, children learn to become more sufficient and care for themselves. They develop school readiness skills. Middle and the middle and late childhood is about 6 to 12 years old and is referred to as the elementary years. Children at this stage masters that fundamental skill of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and they are also formally exposed to a larger world and its culture. Achievement is also the most central theme of the child's world. So, if we divided into early childhood age of 5 years old and the middle to late childhood age of 6 to 12 years old. For me, in early childhood, kids learn to be more independent, like dressing herself and starting to go to school without her parents. They They develop social skills through play and begin to understand rules. In middle to late childhood, they focus on academics, mastering reading, writing, and to solve math. They also start to understand their place in the world and develop friendships, which is helps them to build their self-esteem. So we're going to move in adolescence. We move on adolescence, early, middle, and late. This is the developmental period of transition from childhood to adulthood, from 13 to approximately 24 years old. It begins with rapid physical changes, dramatic gaining of weight and height, and development of sexual characteristics such as enlargement of breasts female and penis males, developments of secondary hairs and depending of the boys, males, the most common theme in this stage is identity crisis. From age 13 to about 24, from my understanding, this is a time of significant change. Teens experience rapid physical growth and hormonal changes, leading to the development of secondary sexual characteristics. They often question their identity and seek independence, which can lead to conflicts with parents. Peer relationships become very important, and they start to explore their values and beliefs. And the lastly, adulthood, early, middle, and late, is the last stage of life that is between 24 to death. Adulthood, often divided into early, middle, and late stages, represents that final phase of the human lifespan, typically spanning from age 24 until death. Each stage is characterized by unique physical, psychological, and social changes. Like early adulthood, 24 to 40 years old. This phase is marked by the pursuit of independent and personal development. Every individual's focus on establishing careers, forming long-term relationships, and possibly starting families. There's often an emphasis on self-discovery and achieving personal and professional goals. Middle adulthood, 40 to 60 years old. Middle adulthood involves reflection on accomplishments and life satisfaction. Career achievement, parenting, and personal relationship are central themes, as people often recess their goals and legacy. Physical, the body that starts showing signs of aging, such as reduced stamina and flexibility. And lastly is late adulthood, is a time of reflection of life and coping with changes such as retirement, declining health, and the loss of loved ones. It's a period where individuals often share their focus from productivity to rest, personal fulfillment and family, to maintaining social connection and staying physical and mentally active are crucial for well-being in this stage. So,
Good day, everyone. I would like to introduce myself first. I'm Joy A. Rojas from BTLED HE1A. Now I will discuss the developmental issues such as nature versus nurture. Second is continuity versus discontinuity issue. And the last is early versus later experience. Introduction about nature versus nurture. The nature versus nurture debate revolves around whether human behavior, personality, and development are primarily influences nurture. Nature refers to biological inheritance and genetic predispositions, while nurture emphasizes the role of upbringing, culture, and life experiences in shaping an individual. Introduction about continuity versus discontinuity issue. The continuity versus discontinuity issue explores whether development is a gradual, continuous process or occurs in distinct stages. Continuity suggests smooth, ongoing changes over time, while discontinuity implies sudden stage-like shifts in abilities or behavior such as cognitive milestone or developmental phases. Introduction about early versus later experience. This issue debates the importance of experiences during different periods of life. Early experience emphasizes the critical role of formative years in shaping future development, while later experience suggests that development is fluid and changes can occur well into adulthood, allowing for adaptability and growth as various life stages. The nature versus nurture debate is about understanding what influences our development more, our genetics or our environment. Nature. Nature refers to the traits we inherit from our parents through our genes, like eye color or a predisposition to certain health conditions. It suggests that much of who we are is hardwired from birth. Nature versus nurture, on the other hand, focuses on the environment we grow up in, our family, education, culture, and experiences. It suggests that we are shaped by the things we go through and learn as we grow. The continuity versus discontinuity issue in developmental psychology concerns how we understand human growth and change over time. Continuity. Those who believe in continuity argue that development is gradual and cumulative, like smooth slope, or changes occur slowly over time without clear or abrupt transitions. For example, a child's vocabulary gradually expands or physical abilities improves steadily with practice. Discontinuity. In contrast, the discontinuity perspective suggests that development occurs in distinct stages, like a staircase. People go through sudden shift or changes at specific points in life, such as moving from crawling to walking or from concrete to abstract thinking. Theories like Piaget's stages of cognitive development are based on this view. The early versus later experience debate in psychology focuses on how the timing of life experiences affects development. Early, early experience supporters of the early experience view believe that what happens during the early years of life, such as childhood interactions, care, and learning, has a lasting impact on a person's development. For example, positive experiences like secure attachment with parents or negative events like trauma can shape personality, behavior, and emotional well-being throughout life. Later experience. On the other hand, the later experience perspective emphasizes that while early experiences are important, individuals continue to grow and change throughout life. Experiences in adolescence and adulthood, such as education, relationships, or career challenges, can also have significant effect on a person's development, offering opportunities for change and adaptation. In conclusion, the nature versus nurture debate explores the relative impact of genetic nature and environment factors nurture the human development, while nature emphasizes the role of biological inheritance in shaping who we are. Nurture focuses on the influence of upbringing, culture, and experiences. Today, most researchers agree that both nature and nurture interact in complex ways to influence behavior, personality, and development, rather than one being solely responsible. Understanding this dynamic helps us appreciate the diversity and complexity of human growth and development. In conclusion, the continuity versus discontinuity debate highlights different perspectives on how development occurs. The continuity view suggests that development is a smooth, gradual process, while the discontinuity view proposes that development happens in distinct stages like shifts. Both perspectives offer valuable insights, and many aspects of human growth may involve a combination of gradual and sudden changes, depending on the specific area of development being considered. Understanding this debate helps to recognize the varied ways in which people grow and change over time. In conclusion, the early versus later experience debate examines how the timing of life experiences influences development, while the early experience view emphasizes that formative years have a lasting impact on who we become. The later experience perspective argues that growth and change can continue throughout life. Most psychologists agree that both early and later experience are important, working together to shape an individual's development, allowing for both stability and adaptability across the lifespan.